Am I on now? Am I on now? Am I on now? Well, you're at the right place if you're looking for Lesko Free Radio. It's not dance music, but I guess it's sort of like that. Yeah, we got a great show today. If you ever heard about the word organic, who hasn't? You know, everything in the supermarket is now organic. Everything, you know, I've seen organic underwear even, you know, they're selling. Well, we got the Washington, D.C.'s organic expert, you know, the best experts in town. I've been in town almost 30 years, and this guy's been in the organic business almost as long as I've been in Washington. But he's up next. So stay tuned. Great show. We're going to tell you about a lot of free money programs, about programs that he's even used for his organic business. But a great man, a great community organizer even. Man, this guy's all over. Is wonderful. We'll tell you about other programs too. Other people got money from unique sources, even money from crowdfunding. Got a great video and person to help that. So we'll be back in about 60 seconds. Stay tuned. And we got Shane on the line when we come back. So come back.
I believe that anybody in America can start their own business right on their kitchen table with little or no money. See, anything you're going to do in life is going to take a lot of work. But if you really find something you really, really want to do and you learn how to use the system, you'll get over any obstacle. You could start a business on your kitchen table because I'll show you unbelievable government programs that help you write a business plan, apply for a grant, get a government contract, or give you free legal, marketing, and tax advice. There are no guarantees in life, but I can guarantee that the government wants you to start a business because 64% of all the jobs in this country come from small businesses. And 73% of all businesses in this country are small enough to start on your kitchen table. So don't give up your dream. Let me show you how the government will help you start a business right on your kitchen table.
Right on your kitchen table. Well, they help you. You know who starts a lot of businesses in this country, or who helps you start a lot of businesses in this country, is your local Economic Development Authority. Is that right, Shane? Is Shane there? Oh, we got to find Shane. Shane?
Yes, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
You bet. So today we're going to talk about how the Economic Development Authorities will help you start a business.
All right, so, you know, what economic development is that usually it's paid for by tax money. And then if you want to establish a business, a lot of times you can go to these economic development corporations, and and you ask for some money to help start up your business. And so that's one part that they do. A lot of times you have to show that you're going to create a job or that kind of thing. So you can use the money for anywhere from a building to some capital for employees to technology or just about anything. It's up to the Economic Development Corporation on what they'll fund.
So this is not really a federal program, right, Shane? These are like local, or it could be city, county, or private, or what the heck. But it's somebody else's money helping you with your business, right?
That's right. A lot of them are usually city is the one that is the one that's probably not used as much as a lot of them are, and it's really easy to access money. So yeah, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is call up your city hall and ask for the Economic Development Corporation, which a lot of people don't know about, and so you ask for this money. Ask for the Economic Development Corporation, get the phone number, and then you meet with them and you just ask them for whatever you're needing.
So in other words, so your economic development, the city economic development money, you're saying, is pretty easy money. I mean, nothing is real easy. I mean, oh yeah, you look cute. We'll give you a check for 20 grand or something. You know, there's some kind of hurdles you have to go through, right? But it's at the city level.
Well, yeah, you know, so the hard part is just the hardest part is just calling them and talking with them. And most economic the corporation will have somebody who's running it, which is the director. So you'll meet with them, maybe take about 15 minutes or so to meet with them, and kind of tell them what your idea is, and they'll help you develop a proposal, usually about a page long, to take before the board the next month. And yeah, it's kind of just about that easy, where you just have to come up with an idea, a proposal that they like, and a lot of times they'll fund that.
Wow. So you're saying you meet with somebody like a director of the Economic Development Authority, and this is public money they're using, right, to give the businesses. And you meet with them for about 15 minutes, and they'll help you develop some kind of proposal, usually about a page long, that they'll put in front of the board. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct.
Wow. And that's what they meet usually once a month and decide if you get the money or not, huh?
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
And now it's for businesses, or suppose that you want to put on a festival. There's a lot of economic development corporations that will provide money for a festival. Because the idea is that the festival will bring people into town, builds good money, which will then build the economy.
So if I want to put on, Lesko's Hip Hop Festival on U Street, downtown Washington, D.C., I go to Economic Development Summit and talk to somebody there for about 15, 20 minutes. Say, that sounds pretty good. They'll help me write up a proposal, and they'll put it to the board and maybe get like 10, 20, 30, 40 grand, something like that. Is that kind of money we're talking about?
I've seen a rate from $500 all the way up to, I think the biggest one I've seen was about $500,000.
Wow, $500,000 to $500,000. And it'll even go beyond that. So, and you say the motive. Now, the motive for these people doing this is jobs. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, that's a primary motive, is to create a job. Now, it has to help out the economy. So if it's bringing in people or bringing in customers or just adding somehow to the economy, it's economic development.
So, in other words, whatever you're doing is going to bring in jobs or bring in money or something like that. So, a festival, or just think about, hey, I think I could sell Washington D.C. trinkets around the world from here. So I'm going to bring in money from around the world because somebody's going to buy trinkets. So that may be an interesting proposition to these kind of people too, right?
Right. Well, in fact, I was an economic development director for a while, and we gave them some money for like a business to create a website so they can have an international or national reach to customers.
So you worked with one of these organizations, the Economic Development Authority, and so you were in charge of getting money to somebody who was doing a website to bring in money from around the world to buy something, I guess, from the website, right?
That's right, because that money came to that town. Then we'll say, I'm down in Texas, so we'll say the money came in from Florida, and so that builds my local economy here. There's new money coming in, and so absolutely, we funded them. I believe that one was about $2,500 is what we funded them.
Wow. So actually, we're going to talk to a fellow who has a chain of organic food stores in here. So if he wanted to go and even grow even internationally online, it may be worth talking to local economic development people about that, like you're talking about, right?
Absolutely. And going along those lines, too, at another one that I worked at, we funded the development of a farmer's market, for instance.
What was that?
About $20,000 to develop a
farmer's market. Oh! Well, farmer's market, that's wonderful. That's more along his lines. Yeah, wonderful. Well, wonderful. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And the worst case scenario, whenever we talk to these guys, the worst case scenario that will happen, even if they don't give you money, they usually have access to a whole bunch of resources at a national and state level, so if they can't help you, to help you find places where there is money.
I see. So in other words, it's worth talking to these people no matter what the heck you're doing, because even if it doesn't work out, you don't get money from them. They're going to hook you up with other people that could help you either with legal or get money from another source, the federal, a state, or even the county or something like that. Let's put up that slide again, number 3. So like how to find, I don't know if you could see if you're looking online, Shane. I'm sorry, you say it's a city. Some of them, I mean, I figure when I was trying to look, there's no like one place for economic development. So you have to probably put economic development if you're searching on Google and put in your city name or your county name or your state name. Or another thing, I don't know if people realize, you can just go to your public library and they'll know where it is.
That's right, yeah. And they'll lead you to the right place. And in fact, because there's not a central location, a lot of these economic development corporations are underutilized.
Yeah.
And so the advantage that people who are listening to this can have is to make sure that you reach out to these economic developers. They want to see you succeed because it helps them out, helps them achieve their job.
So they could be like the Maytag repairman there, sitting there with their feet up on the table, waiting for somebody to call. Hey, Millie, I think we're on the phone today.
Yes,
Younger people don't know who the Maytag repairman is, I bet. Well, that's wonderful, Shane. I mean, it's right. It's solving problems in the community. I mean, we make fun out of it and things like that, but it's serious money, and it's there to solve problems in the community. And if it could help you do what you want in life, then man, because if you don't use it, somebody's going to do it, right?
Yeah, right. And to give you an idea, like a small town will say about 5,000 people. They usually have about $250,000 coming in per year that they have to try to do something with.
Wow!
And then, of course, larger cities, towns will say 15,000, often have $1 million that they can.
Wow! So 15,000, man, that's like nothing. I mean, we're on a street here, George Avenue. There's 15,000 people on George Avenue, so there could be $1 million sitting here for people to do, their ideas with. Well, that's right, wonderful.
That's right. So find out who your Economic Development Corporation or director is, and give them a shot right away, and they'll be more than happy to help you.
Right. Well, wonderful. Well, you've been a wonderful fountain of knowledge, Shane, and thank you for being there. Thank you for doing all this work, and thanks for helping people try to get off their butt and do something in life. What are you thinking about next week?
Well, so there's some ways to make getting grants easier. It's part of writing the grant, but then there's some networking that you can do to make receiving a grant a lot easier than what it sounds.
So you have a way to make grant making easy, huh?
It takes a little bit of effort, but it's worth every dime of it because you'll get a lot of money out of it.
Right. That's what counts, the money. Well, thank you again. Let's show his iPad. The next little graphic. There he is. There's Shane's iPad. So iGrantApp.com. $1.99. It's like how to get a grant all on your app. Take care. We got some Texas weather here today. Shane, I hope you do. Take care.
All right, thank you. Talk to you soon.
Okay, run a little clip, and we'll bring in our guest. You see number 4? What's the next one? There. No, not that one. There's a video. Okay, tell me your name and who you're. Whoa, where are we? Maybe it's out of order. Well, we just bring in the guest then, and we don't have it. Maybe I screwed up. Okay, tell me your name. No. You're right. Maybe I screwed up. Yeah, well, okay. Okay, Gary. Where's Gary?
There's a Gary video.
No. Hi, Gary. Boy, I had another one here. See, no matter how much I work trying to organize this show, it really just screws up anyway. But that was Shane, and we got him going. Do you remember Gary's Cafe? Do you remember that, Gary?
Of course I remember.
You remember, Gary? Show this one slide I have. There's a number 8. Show slide number 8. Tell me if this is where Gary's Cafe was.
Oh.
Is that where it was? Down on Florida Avenue, where the Remember, what year was that?
That was 1982.
1982. That's where you had your first business, right?
Yes, that was my first business.
And how big was that?
Well, it wasn't much of a business, but it was everything. That's all we had.
And how big, like, in size? Yeah, I mean, square foot. I mean, it was sort of like a restaurant or deli, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was a restaurant deli. It opened at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Opened at 3 o'clock in the morning? Why? Who the hell's going out there?
It was right in the middle of a wholesale area where all the produce, meat companies are packing up.
I see.
Deliver. So 3 o'clock in the morning, it's their lunchtime.
So in other words, so you had a little deli for people who were working at it's sort of like the market area for restaurant people to come and get food or what do you call it, or kind of stuff, or wholesale. So it was food wholesale for the industry around the area.
I would say 3/4 of food, fruits and vegetables, meats came out of that place.
So people come 3 o'clock in the morning, start buying and selling fresh fruit and vegetables, right?
They were loading up their trucks
to
make it
love it.
delivery before the rush hour kicks in.
So Gary Cha had his little business there, right? Is that and
Yeah.
and what's
Okay.
square foot like?
Well, square foot, maybe about 700-800 square feet.
Really?
It wasn't, but it had quite a history there. It used to be called the Abe's Steakhouse, where there was a
It was a steakhouse before?
I think
Fancy.
before Riot.
I see,
And
before
there
the
was a
riots.
Coliseum there
Yeah.
where there's basketballs of Washington. I guess back then I don't know what the name was.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And then after that, they would come out there, have dinner, a steak.
I see. So it was a fancy place there.
It was one time,
Yeah,
and
not
things have
anymore,
changed. Oh.
So let's show his new website now. Why don't you show number 9? Now, this is what Gary started at, that little place. Now, here's what he has now. This is a Yes Organic. Okay, so Gary and his, your brother and your sister, right? Were they involved in that first restaurant with you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so family that works together, makes money together, stays together.
I have to tell you a story where I'm still fond of that story, is where we had so little money for buying the product. So we had limited products there, and when we get an order, there was like a ham and egg breakfast.
Oh, really?
And-
Just for breakfast? You didn't have enough money to make ham and
well,
eggs?
I didn't have the ham. So I would run out the back door, run across over there at the wholesale market, and buy the ham, run back, put it on a slicer, and then I would put it on the grill.
Really?
But
Did you ask the customer to pay up front?
I was young in those days. I could run really fast.
Oh, really?
So the customer had no idea that I made all that
No
trip
kidding.
to put that ham on the plate,
So-
and still was very fast.
Well, that's a wonderful story, Gary, because, I mean, people they'll see that, can we get that number 9 on again? You see all those restaurants he has now. I mean, they're supermarkets, they're food markets. There's 7, 8 of them, and you're still growing. You're waiting for a deal now, even, he was telling me in the green room. And that people think it happens overnight. It's easy. Like, you have all this money, you could do it or whatever. But no, you started where a guy came in and ordered breakfast in your 10 by 10 restaurant. You had to run out the back door to get the ham for the eggs when it was ordered. Yeah. And that's what entrepreneuring is about to me. And that's what, growing is. Everybody thinks, oh, I can't start a business because I don't have $1 million, or whatever. And that's stupid, man. You find a way, right?
Well, if you have a will, this country is, they call it land of opportunity.
Yeah.
And
See, that's right. You're never. Gary came here when he was like 13. Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
13.
See, you believe in the American dream. When people here in America too long, they get kicked out of them. You come here, you don't know any different, and you just do it, right?
people living in this country, they're all lucky.
Yeah.
Extremely lucky to be living in this country.
Uh.
And also, I live in what a wonderful city of DC.
DC, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an important city. It's fun. It's sort of like one of the few cities we have where what's going on locally affects the world.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So our local newspaper will never have a headline, a garbage strike. Because it's Obama screwing up the world or something like that. It'll never be like you go to Pittsburgh, man, they got a garbage strike. It'll be on the front page for 10 days, because they got nothing else. But I mean, it's. Let me show you the first little video clip we got with Gary. So think of him first of all before we start this clip. Gary running out the back door of his little restaurant. To for this ham and egg order he has to go back, and he was a fast guy at that time to get the ham for the ham and eggs, and this is where he's at now in his new store.
Wow.
Okay, ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. Mr. Graham, what's the significance of this great event today here on 14th Street?
Well, it's another wonderful day for the resurgence of U Street, Ward 1, and the District of Columbia.
And they think
Oh, no, not this one. That's the next one. Oh, I got that one now.
Wow. You have all my history of what I've done.
This is your life, Gary Cha. But I mean, that must make you feel so great when you know that you were running out for the ham for a ham sandwich or ham and eggs, and then they have the mayor. That's the mayor, the city councilman, and whatever for the ribbon ceremony at opening one of your stores.
Yeah. where can you do a business where the mayor and the council member would come to your store opening and make sure that it takes off in a good.
Well, because you develop some kind of relationship. A lot of people do it and they don't come to their stores. To me, it's what you learn. See, to me, in that is that you took the time to realize that, what's going on in the city besides just you making money is important. So you seem to participate in that somehow.
Well, if you do the right thing, a lot of good things, more of good things will happen. So you should, if you don't put the money as an object, do other things, and this money is a byproduct.
Right.
Yeah. And bringing the food in the places where they want you to come when you open, which we have done, and we get a lot of welcome, a lot of nice comments, and. Well, that's good.
Yeah, you have a wonderful story, but see, what I read between the lines is that, number one, you love what you're doing. You have a passion for organic food. Yeah.
You know what? I saw your passion, and you have overwhelming abundance of passion. I would love to have some of that and transfer that to my store, my business.
Well, and I was telling you earlier where I think, you're not as and I think what I have sometimes is a detriment because people see me just as a crazy huckster, which I am too. But the excitement, but the passion gives you energy. So you're able to get up in the middle of the night and do whatever the hell it takes. Your passion is not because you could run fast at night and get that ham, because you want to do it. And that's to me where the passion is. That's why when people I think are starting to decide what to do in life and where to make money, man, it's everything a pain in the ass to do. Everything is complicated and hard and everything. But if you have a passion, you get over those hurdles.
Oh, Matthew, you give me way too much credit. I was running it because I was scared of going out of business.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm still scared every day of my life, and I'm sure you do like that too.
Oh, absolutely.
It never goes away, and I don't know what it is. The insecurity and.
There are always. Business out there will treat their customers better than we do.
Yeah.
They may have better products.
It never
than we
stops,
do.
does it?
So we can't fall behind.
And if you do, then you will fall behind. If you take it for granted, then you're out.
The day you take it for granted, you're on your way out.
But see, to me, another thing about you, Gary, is that you are concerned about the community. You could say maybe it's selfish or whatever because the community won't come and buy your stuff, but it's not. So you're investing your time and energy and things like that. Like we had one of the issues. If you get ready with the next video, now we're ready for the next video for Gary. Like Walmart, I think. Hold on a minute. Stop. Yeah, that's all right. We're almost there. We're almost there. We come on here, and he doesn't speak Korean in this one either.
Trying to get me in trouble.
Right. That we have Walmart. There are good and bad things about Walmart, all over, and they're coming in now. I think their last frontier is urban areas, right? So they have nowhere else to go besides China or Korea, and downtown D.C. So Gary was active, in educating, and there's some interesting data that he talks about here that I want to get his source from him because it's very important. Okay, now let's run that.
And the people think they're bringing jobs to DC. They're not bringing jobs to DC. They're estimated they will be hiring 300 people per store. In 4 stores, that's 1,200 jobs. But that's not true. All the studies done in similar area where Walmart has opened, for every job that they created, there's 1.5 to almost 2 jobs are lost, taken away from the existing store. When someone says Walmart is bringing the job, please dispute that. That's so untrue. And those are not my words. They are the studies done elsewhere. And also, the council members say, well, the people are shopping at Walmarts in Virginia and Maryland. So we don't want to lose those dollars. But when they open 4 stores in Walmart, we're going to lose money in big scale, much bigger scale than they can't even imagine. They said, we need the tax base. Tax base, they said, $10 million a year? That's based on assumption that all the business that are here right now will continue to do the same amount of business. But when Walmart, the business that they generate, 84% comes from existing business. So you do the math. If you take away 80% of the business from the existing business, where are they going to get that $10 million additional sales revenue, the tax revenue. Do the math. Doesn't add up.
Right. I mean, but that's great data. No one talks like that usually. Everybody says, "Oh, Walmart's bad," blah. But you come out with real data. That's why your sincerity factor, the way you express it is real, and the data, are real, and that's why, like I said, they're good and bad. But the other thing too, I mean, at first I thought, well, he's just want to cover his own business, but I mean, that may not be true. But you also said one time that when Whole Foods came in, you lost like 65% of your business.
Oh yeah,
and recovered. How the hell did you recover from that? So you're not worried about these big guys about your business. You have a little more bigger mission too in mind because you could compete.
Yeah. Well, the reason I was up there letting people know what the impact of Walmart will happen is when small business who lacks the resource or the capital to compete, they'll experience the same thing that I've gone through when 2 Whole Foods opened up and I was just a small store. And when sales dropped 65% overnight, well, you can't survive. And we just, with some miracle, sheer luck, that we survived. And then it turned around. The way it worked out, that customer base have expanded, and we benefited later on.
I see.
You had to wait. All the stores that were small natural food stores in D.C. closed and went out of business at that time, and that could happen to the people when Walmart opens, and not just one or two, many. And it's not a good feeling, and I was out there, and I don't want anyone else to go through that same feeling that I've gone through. And I was young back then, so I was able to survive and do this. But I know there are a lot of small business owners. They're up there 50, 60, and they don't have the energy to cope with that.
Right. That kind of loss. No, I mean, that's why it is. That's why I think as an entrepreneur or whatever, I mean, the community is as important as your pocketbook, and that's why you show that, in your work. Now, the other thing too, interesting, is how you used federal programs, or even state and local programs. Like there was I think the first one that you used, you said you tried to get a small business loan, and you said the paperwork was just enormous. I mean, this is like when you had one store, you and your sister were talking about all the paperwork that you had to get. Eric? No, I think we hear an echo when you guys talk. All the paperwork, when you guys were do that for the bank, you said, it wasn't even worth it.
We used to joke that application was qualified not just for the content, but put it on a scale.
Oh, right.
Then based on that weight, you would qualify.
But you have another wonderful quote I read it. Love, and I sent it to you, the email that never made it to you. The damn
Sorry about that.
idea that you said how banks are there when you don't need money, and want to get. No, banks are there when you don't need money, they want to give it to you, and when you need it, they don't want to give it to you.
Well, that's been my experience.
Yeah, that's
when you
true.
Really need the money to do something. It was very difficult. But when you are set and established, you have good credit, you have amount of cash reserve, they want to lend it.
Right, then they want to sell you money, and then you don't need it. I haven't used a bank.
It may not always be the truth, but that's been my experience.
Yeah, no, it's very true, I think, as a general sense. And that's a good reason, because if you really need money badly, a bank is probably a bad way to get it, because you probably don't know how to do it yet. And you're going to wind up, they're going to be taking stuff from you. But later, when you start growing, you used that 504 program. Do you remember that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was.
Can you put that graphic up, the 504, what was that number? The 12.
It's a great program, and we have benefited, and we're forever grateful for that.
Now, how does that work? I mean, you have to work through a financial agency, right? And it's been like hundreds of thousands, right? They use the I mean, it's an SBA guaranteed loan.
Yeah, SBA guaranteed loan. Yeah,
and it goes through usually a community development bank or something like that. It's not like, sometimes it's not like your local Riggs bank or something like that.
The bank that works with a small business administration, and at that time, well, even now, my sister who
I see. Oh, that's right. See, I tried to get his sister. I knew there was a woman behind this.
wasn't for her,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be where we are.
I see.
And she painstakingly went through all those. But I'm told now that application process, it's been very streamlined.
Oh, really? Now
And
it's a lot better.
It's not like it was when we
Right.
first
You had to bring in a
applied.
wheelbarrow.
Yeah. So now I think just average people can qualify for that without
see.
going through all the difficulties that we did 20 years ago.
Now, there's another interesting thing, and I don't know if you know the details of this, but I was reading about one of your stores that you opened was in a new development with a developer on Capitol Hill somewhere, and he was able to get a grant to get your business in his development?
There are certain areas in D.C. where D.C. government planning and economic development gives priority for bringing grocery store. They call that areas. There's a lacking grocery store. They call it food desert.
Food deserts. Right.
Underserved area.
Right.
And those are the areas difficult to do business, they think. So they give quite a bit of incentive for people to take a chance. Of course, it's not everything is not free.
Right.
We have to put substantial amount of our own money, a lot. And so there's an incentive for somebody like that to take a chance.
But man, he got almost like $800,000 or something to help you get in there. Yeah.
Well, we matched that.
You did? Yeah, that's what it takes nowadays, huh? Wow. So no, it's not free, but what the hell, it can't hurt.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we're grateful for that kind of opportunity.
Yeah.
But it's out there if you want to take that chance.
Now, the other thing I see that you mentioned somewhere about how you say get to know your elected officials or whatever, and how you mentioned somewhere how they can help you. I mean, what makes you say that? It's awfully help you, but you know.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not sure how else it works elsewhere, but in D.C., it's a small city,
right?
And elected officials are there. They are readily available, and you'd be amazed how much they're willing to help you become successful, especially for the right cause and bringing affordable, healthy food option. Of course, they all want to help. Yeah. So I've been fortunate that I have gotten plenty of support
from the elected officials. So your feeling is that if you're doing something you think is good for the community, then they have a motive to help you, even if it's well, like Shane talked about. I mean, you're going to bring jobs to the area, or even just income to the area. You are certainly want it, but you're even saying if it's even something more important, like good, reasonable food. To people, that is even a bigger motive. Yeah.
Well, I've talked to other retailers, and the reason they always give me is I don't have time.
And I said, you're trying to get them go out and see them.
Yeah, go out there, participate in the attend ANC meetings or the neighborhood meetings, and just get to know these people. And they say I don't have time, and then I say, well, that time that you need to go is not just given. If you need 30 minutes, there's 2 ways. You can come to work a little early, stay a little late. Well, exactly 3 ways. Right. You can work a little faster, so you can have that 1 hour that you need to go, and it's not something that just out there. You have to make work at it to make time. Yeah.
Well, all of life is sort of like that, isn't it? and I don't know why it seems like we in our lives we want to make everything easy when easy isn't even fun. I mean, that's to me the most complicated theory in my mind. Is we want to make everything easy when easy is the most boring thing in the world. I mean, do you want to play basketball against a 5-year-old? That would be easy, right?
Well, that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, that's not fun. So that's what we want our whole life to be easy, which is stupid because it's not fun. Yeah. So as much as you try new things.
Well, Matthew, I think I have a job that, like you're so enthusiastic about your job, and I feel the same way about what I do, and it's being in the organic food business. Yeah. Oh, I'm always excited.
Well, let's talk about the organic food, because I think there's a lot of people. See, I deal with a lot of people who are always looking for new opportunities, new things to do in life, and I think the organic food is a lot's going to happen. Why don't you run the number 13? This is what I found out in some Financial Advisor magazine. Okay, so this is Financial Advisor magazine. They came out, in the last month or so.
The financial value, they came out last month or so, said the organic business grew from $3 billion in 96 to $31 billion in 2011.
Wow, that's about tenfold.
Yeah, and then I mean, nothing else grew like that, except my waistline. Yeah. But I mean, and even recently, from 2010 to 2011, it grew like 10%. I mean, most of the economy shrank in that area, and in that year, and the year before, the 4 to 5 years before that, it grew only 5%. So you seem to be on some kind of wave.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, for about 10 years, the organic industry had double-digit growth, and no other food sector had that kind of growth.
Yeah.
So, it was a tremendous amount of growth. That's why when the conventional grocery stores, they saw that growth, and they all wanted part of it, piece of the growth.
Yeah.
So if you shop at regular stores now, you'll see organic products in their section.
Everything. Yeah.
Organic produce.
The big guys haven't missed this, have they? So you got a few.
They're not going to let all these organic at the food store take all of it.
Gonna let you take it all, huh? Show 14. I mean, talk about people getting in the business. Look at Oprah. Somebody was just going down the patent trademark office and found that Oprah now has trademarked Oprah's frozen organic vegetables, Oprah's organic soups, Oprah's organic snack foods, Oprah's organic shampoos.
Oh yeah, that's great. Someone like Oprah,
exactly,
celebrity, being able to be out there in the front, promoting organic, make the organic industry people be more aware
like what
of
you
organic.
said. I mean, to me, and that's what I always believe about business. A big guy comes in and takes your little idea. He's educating the world.
Absolutely.
He's got more. So that's what Whole Foods did to you, and you just had to stay there long enough for him to catch up, for you to be there when it all came up. But they were educating everybody about Whole Foods. You've been there 5 years doing this, but they.
See, that's why I tell people I was extremely lucky in that sense. I rode the wave,
right?
But the Walmart, I think it's different when they spread. I don't think the small business will be able to ride that wave of a Walmart. I think it's a different thing. So that's why I was so concerned.
No, you're absolutely right. Show the next slide, number 15. Now this is what a lot of people do online. They're always looking for ways to make money, and they do something called affiliate programs. This is where you say, I want to sell something online. Days ago it used to be like door-to-door salesman. I want to sell something, and you do Avon or something. But now I want to do it online. So they're called affiliate programs. So this is like these are things you could sell online if you want to sell organic stuff. I mean, see, there's literally hundreds of these things that you could go on, choose a product. Maybe this is one we want to take some of your store, put it up there, and have people sell it online for you. Organic wine, organic skincare, organic cotton pillows. Now, this is what organic farming fertilizer. That's another thing that I mean, I think taking over.
It's a business where if you don't pay attention to this kind of growth, you may miss something important. That's one of the reasons why those big box stores are losing their edge, because things people used to have to drive there to get, you can purchase the same thing in your living room.
Yeah, right.
So bigger is not always the best thing.
No, well, that's what Gary's all about. And also the multi-level people, multi-level marketing, these things, pyramid sales, as they call them. Well, it went down. I Googled that, and look, there's over 7 million websites. You put on 16. Let's show the people that. 7 million websites for multi-level marketing businesses you could get into with organic in the world. So there's 7 million of them.
Well, see, I think a lot of people still not sure what the definition of organic.
What is it? I don't know what the hell it is.
Organic is something that it's a really great thing because of the organic, you're going to leave this earth better than the way you found it. It means sustainability.
I see.
The soil that you use to harvest or grow things, not just taking out the nutrient and keep on adding more fertilizer just so you can get the next year crop. By using the compost and recycling, and the soil just becomes richer and richer. So every year it becomes better soil. So when your grandkids out there at the farm, they're going to inherit better soil than what you have found it. That's what the organic is. So it's good for a lot of things, not just the pesticide and herbicides free, but overall whole concept is
I found you
long-term.
really feel about personal health too.
Oh, absolutely.
Really? Yeah.
You know, when you live in the best country in the world, and you're doing well, everyone wants to enjoy their life a little bit longer. You can't do it if your health is not there.
Yeah.
So if people are living to be 70, 80, and they're out there jogging. My sister is 65 who is competing in a marathon,
Really?
a triathlon.
Really? Wow.
So if you don't have the health.
No wonder she can't make it. Oh, that's wonderful. No kidding. Wow. And there's another thing, that phenomenon. I don't know if you know, in this country, we got something now going on where we're crowdfunding. You can get money to do stuff, by not from the banks, not from venture capital, but you go online and people like your idea and they give you money.
Oh, that's something new.
and now this is a site that has, it had about 50 programs, actually about 70 programs that were organic. So here's somebody with, organic mango. So he needs like $700 to help that business. Here's another one who wants to grow organic food indoors year round. And he's looking for money. He wants to fundraise money to get this little business going. And if you believe in this, and I mean, it's a cool thing online. Well, here, organic yoga wear. And you can, here's the one I really, from another fundraising site called Indigo. Speaking of organic, this is called Sisterhood Breast Milk. They take women's milk and they're pasteurizing it for children. Now this is really organic.
Well, there are kids. They are allergic to a lot of things, and the mother who can't generate enough milk.
Yeah, so mom's going to do it. So you're going to have a mom farm to do that. Now, actually, speaking of this fundraising, I interviewed a woman I want you to show who does a lot of organic, and she used one of these fundraising sites called Peer Backers. Why don't you put up 19? This is another fundraising site, and this is nice. Yeah, Peer Backers. So what they do, she wants to help kids learn about cooking organically on food stamps, on a food stamp budget to cook.
Microgreens is a program for nonprofit.
Right.
Okay, we started her already. These women love to talk. That's sexist. But it's a great. She's got a nonprofit organization. She's going on the site to raise money to teach kids how, on a food stamp budget, you could cook, good food and organically. Okay, now let's run the clip. We'll do that.
Microgreens is a program for nonprofit. Right. And we teach kids in 6th and 7th grade how to cook healthy on a SNAP, or formerly known as food stamp, budget of $3.50 for a family of 4.
So a typical food stamp is you get $3.50 a meal?
It's not typical. Okay, so we took a value of 1 month worth of SNAP reimbursement for a family of 4 based on
which is
DC,
like what?
DC's allotment.
Okay, DC.
So the most you can get back for a family of 4, I believe, is about $600.
Okay,
That's the most.
Okay, so
but
about
people
$600.
really don't get that.
Right.
So we took that and we averaged it out per meal for the family of 4. And then we low cut it even more.
I see.
And said
Just
bare
to show
bones.
off.
Yeah, to prove a point, right? And see, so we went even below that, so that was 89 cents per person per meal. Which is about $3.50 for 4 people.
And it wasn't just to eat; it was really to eat right.
To eat, healthy, as best as you could.
Right.
So we're not saying that you're getting milk and whole grains and fruits and veggies at every meal, because that's actually, it is impossible right now. Yeah. Which is the bigger discussion, right? So that's the government working together to talk to each other, as you know all about. Yeah. And so we said, well, let's work with kids. And I was working with kids in every age group for the last 4 years at DC Central Kitchen. And
I see. So you were involved in the DC Central
School food programs, right. And it was there over 4 years working with all these various age groups, no matter what gender, no matter what
so DC Kitchen, I mean, that's a nonprofit itself, right?
It is.
Right. So you were working there and said, hey, I had this idea. And you went and do the crowdfunding thing.
I left. I left in June, formed a small catering company, that gives a percentage of all sales to microgreens.
Oh, terrific. What's the catering company called?
The Allison Sosna Group.
Okay.
And it's catering, consulting, private chaplain services. Okay. And gives a percentage to microgreens, so it's we're a mini social enterprise.
And microgreen is the nonprofit.
And microgreens is the nonprofit.
Okay, tell me your name again.
Okay. My name is Vivian.
Just run right on. She's later. But that's a cool thing. I mean, she's teaching, lower income kids how to eat, healthy and organic with very little money.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite possible now.
Yeah.
For example, Ali mentioned milk, organic milk. I think you can buy it just as low price or even cheaper because most of the stores that I know, they are selling it as a loss leader. Oftentimes they're like selling it at a cost or cost plus few cents. Like that's what we do. So regular milk loaded with hormones and antibiotics, and so organic milk is free of all that. So you can get those real cheap.
So you could get organic milk cheaper?
Oftentimes, yeah,
really?
And the organic cereals are even cheaper than conventional ones because those are, there used to be a big gap there, and the gap has closed and shorter, narrow. Now I see some of the things even lower priced than non-organic.
Wow, that's terrific.
So, what she was doing, Ali was doing, is quite feasible. I agree.
Really? Well, that's wonderful. And that's what, and it's funny to me when she talked about the SNAP program. That's what they used to call food stamps. It's now called SNAP. Show the next one, line 22. This is what people, that's another typical, Shane was talking about, people aren't applying for this money for business. Well, food, people don't realize this program is out there. And here, there are 13 million. This is the closest, most recent data I could find. 13 million people that are eligible for the SNAP program, but aren't applying because I guess they don't know if they're eligible or who knows.
Or there's some ethnic groups, they would feel ashamed to be on that government subsidy rather than being independent.
Yeah, I know, and I respect that too. But there's a movie out now about this, something about eating at the table, and they're talking about they were interviewing a policeman, a chief of police, who is eligible for food stamps. He's getting food stamp money, and
police
he said,
chief.
He was so, not in Washington, it was somewhere else in the States. He was so embarrassed, he was afraid to do it. Put that graphic back up. There's some other.
His salary must be very low.
Yeah, well, here, see, even in Maryland, D.C., you can make him $45,000 and be eligible for the SNAP program. As an individual in Maryland, D.C., is $22,000. And by the way, people looking for that, you call 211. That's that helps people with social problems and things like that. You need. Here's why I thought you'd like this. 80% of Walmart workers are eligible for SNAP.
Yes. So thank you for bringing that out. Where the politicians said, well, they're not asking for anything, so it's a good deal.
Yeah.
Well, they're not asking for it, but they're just simply taking it.
Exactly. See, their employees are eligible for SNAP and also health benefits that they'll have to pay because they don't offer health benefits.
Exactly.
That's all this stuff.
It takes a toll on the community where other people are paying. So in one way, all the community is paying for their
Exactly.
Walmart.
No, and that's why I thought your activism there was so right on. Whatever.
Matthew, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
There's this next slide too. I just found this the other day, which was it just amazed me because I was doing this research for you, and I see this graph and it's sideways. How the heck did I get that sideways?
You've done a lot of research.
Right, exactly. But anyway, it shows that we now have the number of people in poverty. This is the latest statistics from the census, Bureau of the Census, is 46.2 million, which is the highest number in poverty since they've been keeping statistics.
Wow, that's high.
It just, how can we live in a country where right now we have more people in poverty now than we've ever kept statistics about? Yeah,
that's amazing.
And it is. That's why with your markets helping people live better, eat better, in these food desert areas or whatever. Because by the way, I see you're up here, but they're putting a Safeway up here. What are you worried about that? You fought these guys before.
No. I think our store can coexist with other stores.
Yeah.
That's always been our goal.
Yeah.
We don't want to put any business out of business, and we want to exist next to it. And some of the things that we do, like for example, at Brooklyn store, there's a small coffee shop there where they're struggling.
Right.
And our store design had the coffee bar there, and said, wow, if you put a coffee bar there, they're going to even hurt. So we changed that plan, and we just put beverage bar there, just soft drinks, and for 3 years. And then we took a poll with the community and customers, and do you think it's okay that we go back to our original plan with coffee bar? And it was unanimous. Oh yes.
Really?
Yes. And so we did put our coffee bar in there.
Let me ask you a question about if you were. And think of yourself down on Florida Avenue again, running out the back door getting the ham for the ham and eggs. If you had to start a business again now and had that kind of money then, which was very little, what do you see today that would be good opportunities?
I think there are good opportunities in a lot of things, and the basics of going to good business is, I think, still the same. Whichever business that you can be passionate about, and the easiest way that I tell people is to find a business that's a leader in that category. Let's say if it's a grocery or restaurant or tech field, go work for the company that's number one. And learn everything you can. Just keep your mouth closed and work really hard. So they're gonna want to show you a lot more, and then just open a business. Yep. If you work hard, naturally they're gonna want to show you, teach you, and that's the way I do. And I ask our employees, if your ambition is opening a organic market, just ask me. I'll show you. We have basically open book. We show them everything. They can see the report. They see where we buy things. It's there.
Wow.
I encourage that.
So you're saying advice then, anybody, you have something you want to start a radio station or whatever, go work for a radio station, work your butt off, so they trust you and give you more responsibility.
Well, hopefully that radio station you selected has a good role model.
I see,
and
right.
Not
a dying radio station, right?
Well, dying radio station probably has a lot of flaws, and you don't want to learn that.
Right,
So you want to learn only the good things, things that will help you become successful. I have hired people that worked in the past where they just went bankrupt. And good person.
I see.
But when you bring that person in, he has that habit of things that help cause that to go to bankrupt.
Oh, you could see that, huh?
Yeah, it happens.
Really?
So people with from a successful business, they have a lot of good quality that whatever that made that business become successful.
So it's really being an apprentice somewhere. I mean, the best way to learn a business and being an apprentice where somebody is doing it well, because otherwise you learn bad habits and you think that's the way to do it, and that won't be successful.
Exactly, and then once you learn the bad habit, it's hard to correct that.
Yeah, like picking my nose on radio. They had to slap me around to get me to quit that. Yeah. Well, you're a delight, Gary, and thank you for coming on the show and sharing everything.
Well, Matthew, thank you for inviting me. You give way too much credit for things I do.
Well,
thank you.
But it doesn't take much. I mean, I think in life, and maybe it's because what I was reading about your background, that enthusiasm shows, and then, but also when I see you speak, it's sincere. Everything you say is sincere. You've been around the hot shots in this town. How much bullshit there is with people. They think because they have a lot of money, they know everything and things like that.
No, money doesn't equate to knowledge or
exactly.
The intelligence. I've been extremely lucky that to be living in this country and being able to do business here, and I had lucky enough to have great parents to make sure that I got a good education. I have a great brother or sister. And
wow, what a grateful guy.
Just lucky and extremely lucky and fortunate.
While I was preparing for this, I read a thing in the New York Times yesterday about how Korea, if you realize Gary's from Korea, South Korea,
they had a professor from Harvard who teaches philosophy there, has this course that's very popular in Korea. So this is a philosophy course. It's about justice. He threw out the baseball pitch to the most famous game out there. So they had a philosopher throwing out a baseball pitch, in Korea. So I think there's something in your genes too, not only American genes, that make you special.
Well, thank you. If they consider philosopher to be
that's
fine.
That makes it. I don't think we would ever have a philosopher throwing out the best pitch in here.
Interesting.
Well, listen, I want to leave on one note here. I saw this thing on the internet, talking about, we're talking about poverty rates and things like this, and everybody knows about the spreading the wealth divide in our country, and this runs about 4 or 5 minutes that really dramatizes this pretty well. If you haven't seen something like this, take a look. It's instructive, right or wrong or whatever. It's facts, and how to solve it. We should talk about. But you see, it's called Wealth. It's numbers. The last one on the
There's
bottom.
a chart.
That's it. Yeah. Ready? Yeah. You bet. Okay. See you next week.
I saw recently that I can't get out of my head. A Harvard business professor and economist asked more than 5,000 Americans how they thought wealth was distributed in the United States. This is what they said they thought it was. Dividing the country into 5 rough groups of the top, bottom, and middle 3 20% groups, they asked people how they thought the wealth in this country was divided. Then he asked them what they thought was the ideal distribution. And 92%, that's at least 9 out of 10 of them, said it should be more like this. In other words, more equitable than they think it is. Now that fact is telling, admittedly, the notion that most Americans know that the system is already skewed unfairly. But what's most interesting to me is the reality compared to our perception. The ideal is as far removed from our perception of reality as the actual distribution is from what we think exists in this country. So ignore the ideal for a moment. Here's what we think it is again. And here is the actual distribution. Shockingly skewed. Not only do the bottom 20% and the next 20%, the bottom 40% of Americans barely have any of the wealth. I mean, it's hard to even see them on the chart. But the top 1% has more of the country's wealth than 9 out of 10 Americans believe the entire top 20% should have. Mind-blowing. But let's look at it another way, because I find this chart kind of difficult to wrap my head around. Instead, let's reduce the 311 million Americans to just a representative 100 people. Make it simple. Here they are: teachers, coaches, firefighters, construction workers, engineers, doctors, lawyers, some investment bankers, a CEO, maybe a celebrity or two. Now let's line them up according to their wealth. Poorest people on the left, wealthiest on the right, just a steady row of folks based on their net worth. We'll color code them like we did before based on which 20% quintile they fall into. Now let's reduce the total wealth of the United States, which was roughly $54 trillion in 2009, to this symbolic pile of cash. And let's distribute it among our 100 Americans. Well, here's socialism, all the wealth of the country distributed equally. We all know that won't work. We need to encourage people to work and work hard to achieve that good old American dream and keep our country moving forward. So, here's that ideal we asked everyone about. Something like this curve. This isn't too bad. We've got some incentive, as the wealthiest folks are now about 10 to 20 times better off than the poorest Americans. But hey, even the poor folks aren't actually poor, since the poverty line has stayed almost entirely off the chart. We have a super healthy middle class with a smooth transition into wealth. And yes, Republicans and Democrats alike chose this curve. 9 out of 10 people, 92%, said this was a nice, ideal distribution of America's wealth. But let's move on. This is what people think America's wealth distribution actually looks like. Not as equitable, clearly, but for me, even this still looks pretty great. Yes, the poorest 20 to 30% are starting to suffer quite a lot compared to the ideal, and the middle class is certainly struggling more than they were, while the rich and wealthy are making roughly 100 times that of the poorest Americans and about 10 times that of the still healthy middle class. Sadly, this isn't even close to the reality. Here is the actual distribution of wealth in America. The poorest Americans don't even register. They're down to pocket change. And the middle class is barely distinguishable from the poor. In fact, even the rich between the top 10 and 20 percentile are worse off. Only the top 10% are better off. And how much better off? So much better off that the top 2 to 5% are actually off the chart at this scale. And the top 1%, this guy, well, his stack of money stretches 10 times higher than we can show. Here's his stack of cash, restacked, all by itself. This is the top 1% we've been hearing so much about. So much green in his pockets that I have to give him a whole new column of his own, because he won't fit on my chart. 1% of America has 40% of all the nation's wealth. The bottom 80%, 8 out of every 10 people, or 80 out of these 100, only has 7% between them. And this has only gotten worse in the last 20 to 30 years. While the richest 1% take home almost a quarter of the national income today, in 1976 they took home only 9%, meaning their share of income has nearly tripled in the last 30 years. The top 1% own half the country's stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. The bottom 50% of Americans own only 0.5% of these investments, which means they aren't investing. They're just scraping by. I'm sure many of these wealthy people have worked very hard for their money, but do you really believe that the CEO is working 380 times harder than his average employee? Not his lowest paid employee, not the janitor, but the average earner in his company. The average worker needs to work more than a month to earn what the CEO makes in 1 hour. We certainly don't have to go all the way to socialism to find something that is fair for hardworking Americans. We don't even have to achieve what most of us consider might be ideal. All we need to do is wake up and realize that the reality in this country is not at all what we think it is.